Hello, friends, and welcome to Pod Return to the Waking Sands. We are a Final Fantasy XIV companion podcast where we explore the lore and story of Hydaelyn and beyond. My name is Jen, and I'm joined by my co-host and researcher.
I'm Levi.
Hello, Levi.
Welcome back, Jen. It's been a while.
Welcome back. It felt weird to do the intro because it's been so long.
We recorded the MSQ 2.55 Part 1 back in December, and then a lot of stuff happened. You know, like the holidays. And we took some time off because of the holidays, which was nice. It was a very busy time, I'm sure, for most people. And I had some personal life stuff, which prolonged that break.
It did. So the break ended up being a week longer than we intended, but it's all good, and we are back.
And I got deathly ill.
You did not get deathly ill.
You weren't there.
You got something.
Great, I got something.
Icky tum-tums.
I got icky tum-tums. Deathly icky tum-tums.
Oh my God. Deathly. Get out of here.
You weren't there.
No, you had like an airport Caesar salad and it fucked you up.
That is one of the theories. Yes.
Yeah. Honestly, I think just the stress of the last minute travel and having to deal with the living situations. It's just like it just messes up your rhythm. Your
so
whole life.
You're saying that my icky tum-tums were due to stress and not due to
Could be
actual
all the things,
illness.
All the things.
Okay.
Yeah. Something. Yeah, your body didn't like that whole thing, which it is totally understandable. Anyway.
We are
talk about your.
What the fuck? Great, Jen.
I'm assuming. Allegedly.
Oh my God.
Alleged.
What the fuck?
This is great. Happy New Year!
Should I cut that, Jen?
Mm-mm.
I think people might be grossed out.
Mm-mm.
I don't care, but I think that people might not be ambushed.
You can Moogle it out, and people can make their own.
Okay.
Yeah, Moogle out.
Great, I will do so.
Great.
Okay, well, thank you, Jen, for that. Thank you for the recap and denial of my personal travails.
Yep.
And we are back now with the MSQ 2.55 Part 2, where we are playing up to the quest, The Parting Glass. But Jen, what happened last time?
I hate the look on your face when you ask me that, because you know it's going to be a piece of... it's going to be bad. Okay, honestly, I had to bring up my notes, because I'm going to forget much of this. Okay, let's see. This is all in the lead up to the Steps of Faith. This is like the refreshening of the Dragon Song War. This is right after Moonbrita passes away, and we successfully kill Nabrialis. Lucia from Ishgard, she's the Lord Commander's right-hand woman. She comes and begs help from the Scions, and I guess the Eorzean Alliance at large, because the Nidhogg has cried out to his people, and the Dragon Song War is beginning anew, and Ishgard is desperate for help. So Lucia makes her case at the Rising Stones, and she tells us that Sir Emmerich would like to make his own plea at Camp Dragonhead. So we're traveling to Camp Dragonhead. In the meantime, Lady Iceheart and her heretics have infiltrated the Temple Knights. They've disguised themselves as Temple Knights. They're on the Steps of Faith, and Iceheart conjures a spell that dispels the outermost ward for Ishgard, leaving only a few. So basically, with this ward down, the Horde can descend upon the Steps of Faith and get after the remaining wards. This is very bad. And I guess the only thing really we can do is petition the Alliance and the other city-states to donate whatever they can, and they basically tell us to pound sand, which angers Alfino quite a bit. Yeah, so the council convenes in the Fragrant Chamber, as they do. That's where they tell Alfino to kind of fuck off, essentially, go find some sellswords, ask the free companies, but we're good to go. But while we're there, the Sultana seems pretty fucking distracted, Raban notices her lady-in-waiting is like, she's fine. Like, she's not sick or anything. She's fine. And he's like, okay. And that's basically where we are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jen. So we are back in Kurthus now. We return empty-handed, more or less, and say, it's just us.
Yeah.
Surprise.
It's us. It's some Scions. It's some adventurers. That's about all we
the
can cobble
Scions do
together.
not appear yet.
No, but they have agreed to help.
Yes. But we appear there, and we are tasked by a knight, Marceline, with defeating some Dravanian skirmishing parties. So we fly around Kurthus, and we find some staggered Ishgardian reinforcements, and we protect them from some groups of dragons. No problem. These guys were a lot tankier than normal field spawns, at least.
Thank God.
It's not hard, but they take more than 2 button presses to kill.
Yes.
Afterwards, we report back that the reinforcements were decimated.
Yeah, so they were in pretty rough shape, which is not a great sign this early in the siege. But Marceline he assures us that we will have our vengeance in the upcoming battle. That is the actual siege of the Steps of Faith, which is what we were preparing for now. So
not only are the Steps of Faith the passage to Ishgard, but the bridge is the foundation for the arcane wards that form Danafin's collar, the protective barrier outside the city. And since Iceheart has removed the outermost protection, the dragons can assault the bridge itself. So we must protect the parts of the bridge where the wards yet remain. There are still 3. So Marceline tells us and our comrades to help defend the outermost ward. However, we are very short on comrades until Thancred makes a sly crack and struts up.
I like the point of view here when he walks up. He's like, you weren't gonna start this without me, were ya? Or something like that, And he walks by and he just kind of gives us a look as he walks by, as if like, yeah, we were gonna sit this one out. So it's Thancred, Y'shtola, Ida, and Papalymo. And Marceline is like, fucking awesome. Yeah. So Ida and Papalymo are going to camp out at the rear ward, and the rest of us are going to start at the outermost ward and hopefully hold back the horde at this point.
They're the rear guard, not at the rear ward.
They're okay. Rear guard.
Yes, because they are active during the whole thing.
They are. Yeah.
And with that, we can begin the Steps of Faith revised. Version 2.
Version 2. No cannons.
We enter onto the bridge, and we immediately get a cutscene sweeping across a massive ass dragon that is about half as wide as the bridge.
Very, very large.
We are gathered with our backs to the first ward. We have the whole crew here. The aforementioned Scions are present. Lucia is here, and assorted Ishgardian soldiers and random adventurers. They therefore fulfill the promise that we speculated about last time about whether we would have our team of elite adventurers taking part in the defense, which we have the B team, the random guys, not our closest friends.
Correct. But so these are the guys we kind of like talked into helping us outside of or around Revenant's Toll.
Yeah. And
it's
hangers
something.
on. It's something, indeed.
We did what we did or had to do.
So this solo duty is a proper send-off for A Realm Reborn and a prelude to Heaven's Ward. This is the final combat content of the entire expansion, and this is so much better than the old trial. For any newer players, we'll hit on the old trial mechanics at the very end of the episode if you are curious. But for now, the current version. This is a heroic defense of the steppes.
It is a heroic defense of the steppes. We are fighting, obviously, hordes of wyverns, avises, smaller dragons, but the biggest antagonist here is Vishap, which is one of Nidhogg's quote-unquote greatest champions, and he looks the part. He's as big as the bridge, just an absolutely enormous dragon.
Yep. And over the course of the battle, we're going to be having a fighting retreat as the big dragon forces us back, destroying 2 of the wards and threatening the final one. The trial alternates between us and the defenders fighting assorted small dragons as Vishap harries us with linear fire blasts and circular AoEs. Then, after the minions are defeated, he'll move up and assault the ward directly, as we chip away at his massive health bar. This fight doesn't feature any real new mechanics, but it remixes several we've seen in A Realm Reborn, including a combo of regular telegraphs and animation-based attacks, especially Vishap's Fire Breath, where he will lower his head and he'll summon fires in his maw before he blasts out a big line AoE.
And this is what destroys the ward's health, essentially.
In terms of pacing, this is a pretty forgiving fight. There are not really any rapid-fire mechanics like higher level players have seen, but this does seem like an appropriate escalation for the A Realm Reborn mechanics.
Yeah.
There is a lot of combat dialogue during this, both text and voiced lines. The standout lines to me are, Papalimo yells, "They mean to defeat us with sheer numbers, then." And Ida responds, "Well, it's a good thing I can't count."
Amazing. She's so self-aware. It's refreshing. We love her.
Yes. After the first 2 wards are destroyed, we fall back to the final ward, and we find Estinian waiting there with a line of dragoons, and they join the battle. The fight concludes with a DPS check. Vishap prepares to unleash a mighty stream of fire on the ward, and then Lucia and a squad of her fellow knights all form up in a wedge and collectively channel the Paladin Passage of Arms ability, the one that forms the protective wings behind the Paladin. And we have to finish off Vishap before the Paladins are overwhelmed. How did this go for you, Jen?
It went great.
Nice.
Yeah, saved the day.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I went as Dragoon.
Same.
Seemed appropriate.
Yep.
And it had been a hot minute since I had done any Dragoon stuff. So I was like, I'm just going to go into it. And so there was a little bit of scramble for me trying to remember like how to do stuff, but it came pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was a lot. I mean, you do have to pay attention. You don't get to just sit on your laurels here. And it was really cool to like fight alongside with these characters. And then you see the flavor text of, like steely resolve and we're not dying today and stuff like that. It was very, very immersive.
Yep.
Yeah, it was great.
This fight is not really, it's not going to require you to be a, top tier player. You don't have to optimize your DPS, but also there are chances too to really kind of hammer on those buttons if you like to. Like, for instance, when the dragon flies up, you can arm's length or surecast that knockback.
Yep.
For the dragoon, plenty of times to do the zippy gap closer back and forth.
Yep.
As you're moving around, it's lots of fun to do all the things. It's a very dynamic fight. It's not just tank and spank looking at you, old steps of faith.
Right.
Well, we defeat Vishap, and he collapses right before the final ward. Their champion dead, the remaining Dravanians flee. Estinian takes this moment for some dramatic and insulting proclamations. Atop a ledge, he speaks to the wind. "But what of you, Nidhogg? Why did you not join your minions and make of this battle a slaughter? Have you grown so fond of the stench of your lair? Mayhap you prefer to have your allies fight your battles for you. You have a girl to do your bidding now, do you not? No matter, I shall slay Iceheart and all the rest. But I yearn to spill the blood of a great worm, and only your death will sate my lance." He dragoon jumps into the heavens, and we regroup back at the gates of judgment.
Alfino has rejoined us here. He and some of the Crystal Braves were over at the Steel Vigil, doing their thing over there. And we're all in a very celebratory mood. And Sir Emmerich joins us shortly to offer his thanks. He can't stay long, though. He has a lot of damage to survey and a lot of things to deal with. But he is like, y'all were instrumental in basically saving Ishgard, which is great. And Alfino also is like, I would love to stay and cheers to all of you, but we have to head to Ul'dah along with Captain Ilberd to assess the Crystal Braves' losses. But, we have earned a rest ourselves, like, God damn it. Yes, at the Rising Stones. And then while we're there, we can share the details with Minfilia, of course. So we go back to the Rising Stones, but before we could even take our boots off, Tataru enters the Solar. She has a missive from Ul'dah, and it bears the royal seal. Ooh. And it says, on behalf of the Council of the Eorzean Alliance, Her Royal Majesty, Nanamo Ul'Namo, invites the Scions of the Seventh Dawn to attend a feast at the Royal Palace of Ul'dah in honor of Ishgard's recent victory. And, it's no surprise to Minfilia that we should be celebrated for our service. However, she is baffled that the leaders of the Alliance found it appropriate to seat themselves at such an event. All three refused to deploy their armies, instead forcing us to rely on hastily assembled groups of sellswords and free companies. But despite the optics, perhaps they want to capitalize on the mood to convince Ishgard to rejoin the Alliance, whatever. So, it kind of left a sour taste in her mouth, this whole thing, which is fair. And she says that we've scarcely had an opportunity to mourn Moonbrita, and I haven't had a minute of rest in I can't remember when. But they always dangle the carrot of rest in front of us, and we're like, oh no, this thing has come up. Minfilia encourages us to put our game face on for the banquet and just know that, these events are opportunities to enact significant change. So we can hope. Minfilia asks Tataru to notify the rest of the Scions about the invitation to make their arrangements and all of that. And Tataru is like, absolutely. And she asks Minfilia to let her know if there's anything else she can do. And lets out a really heavy sigh and leaves. And Minfilia is like, that's a little weird. Tataru is always just stoked to do her job. That seemed really uncharacteristic for her. Would we mind just kind of checking in on her, making sure everything's okay? When I went to Tataru's desk, she's gone, which is weird. It's where she lives.
It's where she lives. She lives at her work.
Nearby, however, there's a little bit of a commotion.
Yeah, all these Scions are gawking as Thancred's dalliances have now caught up to him.
I don't typically explore that area of the Rising Stones.
You should, Jen.
You're better at that, but this time I looked over and I saw Ida doubled over. I'm like, something is up. So yeah, something was up.
I'll say. Yeah, so she is cracking up. Everyone else is making snide comments, and Thancred is being accosted by 5 ladies.
It's a pretty awkward confrontation.
Yeah, we get the merchant who helped him get the ore. Just any sort of side biz lady he's had so far.
Right. Yeah. They're all arguing, and then there's this one lady who's slow twerking at him.
The old slow twerk?
Yeah, she's like, I'm not gonna argue, I'm just gonna twerk at you for a little bit. Doesn't seem to be effective.
Yeah, so they're not saying fuck you, Thancred, they're fighting over him still, which is very disappointing.
I know, right?
They are saying I'm his true love. Yes.
Yeah, oh my.
Oh yeah, we got the Bard lady as well. I don't recall where the cat girl is from, where the Mikote lady is from, but we do know about his merchant friends, his mineral hookups. We know about the Bard as well. Yikes. Anyway, he has blazed quite a trail
he's gonna have
here.
To find some new contacts, I think.
Yes, most likely.
Yeah, Ida is just enjoying the shit out of this, and Papalimo, a little bit more sarcastic, but still some levity there. Y'shtola is like, this is stupid. Do we not have anything better to do? But she's still watching, for the record. And then Higiri, she's even like, I don't know what y'all are doing. I'm just going to chalk this up to cultural differences.
Well, that's funny because Higiri was on his list, but she apparently dropped that like it's hot.
Well, yeah, look at this toxic garbage. Stay far away. But anyway, the others are obviously very occupied. We talked to Flamine, and she tells us that Tataru, she went out into Revenant's Toll, looking a little preoccupied. We're like, got it. Okay, so we go outside, we're looking around for Tataru, and we find her just sitting. You know, the little Lalafell sit and rock that they do? That's really adorable. And she's just kind of gazing out at, I don't know, at stuff, thinking to herself.
Is her pain amusing to you, Jen?
Not at all. But she's adorable.
Okay.
What the fuck? We don't even know if it's pain.
No, we do. Because she is sad.
She's conflicted. She's just been, you know, we've all been in this situation, I'm pretty sure. We don't know what it is yet. We're just like, hey, girl, you seem kind of like distracted. Are you good? And she's like, well, I mean, there is something I've been thinking about. And it's not anything like your problems, but, you know, I should talk to Minfilia before this becomes like a whole thing. And she's like, okay, I'm going to go talk to Minfilia now. So she goes to talk to Minfilia about it. And Minfilia is like, girl, you have my undivided attention. What do you need? And Tataru was like, okay, I've thought a lot about this, and I haven't wanted to broach the subject, but I just want some time. And Minfilia is like, yeah, you deserve some time off. Absolutely. Good Lord. Is that all you wanted? Of course you deserve the time off. But knowing you, I don't think you're just going to like staycation it for a while. You're not going to like bed rot or whatever. And she's like, no, what I want to do, I want to, you know, she's looking at the people that she works with and works for, and she wants to kind of earn her keep a little bit better in that regard. She wants to learn how to defend herself, defend her friends, defend Minfilia, and she wants to try her hand at some form of warriorship. And when she returns to the Scions, she's going to be both their administrator and Minfilia's bodyguard. And with that, she waits for nobody to say shit. She curtsies and walks out of the room, but before she leaves, she looks at us and she's like, hey. She has like this little smirk, this knowing little, like, I've got plans. Girl has plans. But on her way out, she almost runs into Hoary Boulder, because Hoary Boulder's coming in. He's got an issue of his own. And he walks up and he's like, hey, I have a request for the antecedent. And she's like, okay. One of the adventurers assigned to an upcoming escort duty was injured while out on patrol, and he's asking Minfilia if she can recommend someone to replace him. And she's like, yep, no problem. I'll take a look, see who's available, and let you know. And he's like, great, thanks.
So now we get branching MSQ options. It's been a while, Jen.
I did Tataru first.
I did not, but that's the better call. So let's do her first.
Okay.
So we're going to put Boulder on hold. And we're going to go and pursue Tataru to make sure she's okay. So I thought this had been cut, Jen, from A Realm Reborn. We talked about this last time.
Yeah.
But apparently it doesn't happen till the very, very end of the expansion. I do think that some other Tataru content got cut. She has some other kind of soul-searching shit that happens, I'm pretty sure. But thankfully, the most important part being her Arcanist bit is still in the game.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, same. So we are going to make sure everything goes well for Tataru, which means we're going to follow her to the Arcanist Guild because she has had an interest in Arcanama before.
And Eorzean has confirmed to Minfilia recently that Tataru has been kind of like, I'm really liking this stuff.
Yep.
So, yeah, she's like, you know, she's going to be fine. She's basically going to school, but she's our sweet little baby Tataru. And
that is so condescending.
Keep an eye on her, you know, just make sure she doesn't get in over her head. I don't know. And also, you know, she knows that, well, you know, if you've started the Arcanist quest line, which my character had, it's like, you know, you've done this before, you can maybe help her out.
Yeah.
Whatever. So that's fine. We'll check in on our little baby.
We find her in the guild at the bottom of that long ass stairway.
She's in the practice arena.
So once more, we go all the way down to find her, and she's like, "What's up? I'm just doing some cool Arcanist shit. See you later." And she runs up the stairs. Then we chase her back up to the top.
Well, she leaves to go do some training. The same shit that we did when we first started with
weird.
You know, Arcanism. So we talked to Master Tubergheim. She's the guild master, and we're like, so how's it going? And she says that Tataru is totally enthusiastic. Her attitude is awesome, but her talent, it's not quite there. Her skill set isn't like, she might have difficulty with this. And, since we're familiar with the training exercise that she's currently doing, which is where you go like right outside Zephyr Gate and you're inspecting some crates, you're doing like customs agent shit. It's like, maybe we just go out there and watch her from afar.
And killing rats. These are like rat-infested crates.
So we go out there and we're on a cliff, like looking down at the crates and the whole scene. And soon enough, Tataru comes in and she's singing a little song. She's like, dude, she is like so happy right now.
Jen, did you write down the song?
I did not.
Shame.
I don't know what the melody is, which is...
Whatever.
Okay. So what she's singing is... Or Azure sees to Pirate's Port, where she met her shining jewel. For to bring the smuggler's plans to naught came the last whom none could fool. Beat 'em with a backdraft, got 'em with a gust, deck 'em with a downburst. Go, Carbuncle, go!
That was great, Jen. Good job.
She's singing this whole thing. Did she just make this up?
The song, yes, but Jen, the names of the moves she's talking about, these are from the now defunct pet system.
Aww.
Back when Carbuncle could do shit.
Aww. Well, still great.
Still great.
So she walks up to the crates. She opens her grimoire, and Carbuncle is at the ready. And she's like, "All right!" And she's like, a little rat appears at the crate, and she's like, "Aha! This is no doubt our quarry. All right, Carbuncle, let's deal with this rat." Carbuncle? And Carbuncle has ran away. Now, Tataru she panics the fuck up. So while she's looking back behind her, like, where did Carbuncle go? Rats and Aurelia are swarming around her, ready to, like, eat her little face. So she, like, runs off in a panic so she doesn't get ate, running after Carbuncle. And we're like, fuck. So we run after Tataru. We find her behind a big boulder, and she's just looking for... Carbuncle's gone. And she's like, oh, god damn it, when she sees us. I'm like, I knew you were going to be here, but I didn't want you to, like, witness my shame. And I just, she should have known that she'd be no good at Arcanima and, like, so many things she's not good at and whatever. But I'm going to go back and I'll withdraw from the guild. I can't do this. She's really beating herself up, and this is bullshit. So we go back to the guild, and Tubergeim asks how the training went, and Tataru is, well, it went abysmally. And I'm sorry to waste the guild's time in pursuing something I had no right to pursue. And Tubergeim is like, girl, we all must accept our limitations, right? Otherwise, our ambitions will lead us into who knows fucking what. But at the same time, we should never forget our strengths. And Tataru is clearly adept with numbers, because if she weren't, she couldn't even summon Carbuncle. So, the Scions are lucky to have such a capable and good-natured receptionist. And we're like, hell yeah. And Tataru appreciates encouragement. She's like, you're right. I really need to keep things in perspective. I'll try to keep my head high. And that's that.
I think this was bad coaching. One failure does not make someone a failure, Jen.
Right.
It's okay to have messed up and try again.
How many people in the Arcanist Guild, when they first start, 1, have trouble summoning Carbuncle, 2, have had a Carbuncle run off on them? It seems like a very easy thing to happen.
Maybe she will or will not become the best Arcanist ever, but it's okay. It's okay to try again if you care.
She can be a totally, like, mediocre Arcanist and still, like, love it. But, Tataru...
Shame on Tataru and Tubergeim for being so prone to throw up one's hands.
I don't disagree. Yeah. Man, she was so excited to do it. And she's also so excited about the outfit. She's like, I love this outfit, but obviously I can't wear it anymore. But I can't return to the Rising Stones empty-handed either. You know what? I got an idea. It's a little risky, but come with me to Costa del Sol and I'll let you know what my plan is. So... the Arcanist career path closed. we head off to Costa del Sol, and Tataru's already there. She is bathing suited up. She's got her pink little sun hat or whatever. She's looking settled. And she's looking out, she's on the pier, she's looking out at the water, and she's like, aha, that right there, that's where the man at the Drowning Wench told me to look. And apparently there's a particular kind of clam that makes the best pearls, but it is a heavily sought after food source for predators in the area, so she asked us there to make sure she doesn't die while she's clamming. And we were all up in the shallow water, and she's like, all right, I'm going to do my thing. Just keep an eye out while I dig around. And we do. And lo and behold, soon after, a wild fucking Morgor appears. Morgar.
Big fish.
Big flying serpent thing. So we kill it. And we go back to Tataru, and she's like, oh my god, that was so great. That's why I brought you here. And while you were doing that, you allowed me to catch a whole bunch of blood pearls. And blood pearls have traditionally been used to ward off dark. They're used as wards against dark magic. And she's like, this whole thing was me wanting to be better defend myself and my friends. And if I make like charms out of these blood pearls, I think that's a decent way of me doing that for you. And anyway, so that's, Tataru is the great defender. That's just how that's going to have to play out. But she's got an appointment soon with Flamine. They're going to go to Hawker's Alley and buy some supplies for the Scions. And she's like, Flamine, she can find the good shit, but I can find the bargains. I mean, like, she's got an excellent life put together for her, So she says her goodbyes, and we walk off, and she walks off, but she turns around to make sure that we're gone and gives herself another little conspiratorial smirk and walks away.
And she walks away in the wrong direction, sadly, because for me, that was right towards the giant crab fate on Blood Shore.
Giant crab fate. Yeah, we all know the one.
Anyway, that is the Tataru story. We go now to help out Hoary Boulder because no one else is available to stand in. So we join, and he is psyched up to be working with us.
Hoary Boulder's the shit out of this whole thing. We're
yes.
like, hey, no one else is around, so me, the Warrior of Light, will help you on your escort mission. And he is like, yes! We're going to be working side by side with the Warrior of Light.
And Coultonay's like, actually, we're working separately on separate escort missions.
Coltonay Levi'd up the whole fucking thing.
But Hoary says, sure, but we're working together in spirit.
Yeah, we might be moms apart, but we're on the same mission technically. So yeah, we are working together in spirit. He doesn't let Coultonay's pedantry get him down.
Like Jen.
Right. Nor does he allow it to make him mad, unlike Jen. So what these escort missions are, the Scions employ both scholars and adventurers. The scholars are tasked with taking readings around Eorzea just to keep tabs on the etheric densities and movements and how that relates to primal summonings and all that shit. It's just like data collection.
This is some BS coming up here. The most tedious shit. It's short, thankfully, but we find some nameless scholar down in South Shroud, and we say, hey, what's up? And he does the thing where he's bumbling around, doing doop-a-doop-a-doo. Hey, could you keep it down, please, while we're fighting some guy behind him? We hop around the zone, we kill some shit.
Yeah, it's like, when you're killing dudes, can you, be quieter about it?
Yes. Anyway.
But so when he quickly summarizes his findings, and it's clear, the very end of all that garbage, his summary, Eorzea's ambient ether concentrations have markedly diminished since the calamity, and they have markedly diminished since their last readings at the end of the 6th astral era, which is pre-calamity. And he would like to corroborate this data with one more reading at Earth's Fount. This is a place that is just super concentrated with ether, that crystals just spontaneously form. He's like, if there's going to be any sort of corroboration, any sort of, I guess, differentiation in actual ether levels, those changes are going to be very easily determined. They're going to be very obvious in this particular area. So he thinks he's a fucking genius for thinking about this. So there we go. We go off to Earth's Found.
I was wondering why this was not cut in the MSQ trim, but this is the answer. Because finally, when we get there, something happens. He's dicking around doing his readings, and suddenly he cries out in alarm because he has found the body of a crystal brave. This is Wilred, the Alamegan youth who went missing.
Yeah.
And right now, Hoary Boulder and Coultonay join us because they finished up early. So they're like, what's going on over there?
Well, they didn't finish up early. We never came back because our scholar wanted to do this. So Hoary bends down and looks at Wilred, and he's been, quote unquote, gutted like a hog, but clearly done by a blade. And we're all confused because the Crystal Braves obviously have nothing to do with this area at all.
Notably, it looks like he was felled by surprise.
Yeah, there are no defensive marks anywhere on his weaponry, on his body. So Hoary Boulder tells us, I gotta say, I want to say Hoary Boulder every time I say his name, and I feel like Boulder is his surname, but I don't think that's true.
Correct. It is Hoary Boulder.
Yeah. So every time, if I just want to say Hoary, that sounds like a weird way of referring to him. So I have to say Hoary Boulder.
You can say HB.
HB. That's cute. HB. I think he'd like that. He'd like a nickname from the Warrior of Light himself. So Hoary Boulder, he tells us to go back to the Rising Stones and tell Minfilia what's going on. And he and Coultonay are going to take care of the scholar and Wilred's body. And tell Minfilia, because I'm sure she would like to know what's going on. And he's like, as would I. This shit just kind of got a little real. So we go back to the Rising Stones and we tell Minfilia what we found, and she's horrified, obviously. It hits her really hard. And, we found him dead. He's likely murdered, and the implications of that are horrifying. So she just... in this moment, she's struggling to reconcile our recent victories against their tremendous costs. We should be in a celebratory mood with, the banquet and the steps of faith and all of that. We've defeated Dravanians and Ascians both, and we are at a pivotal moment in Eorzean history where for the first time in 15 years, the Alliance and Ishgard will stand together again. But just thinking of the losses we have suffered on the steps of faith, Moonbreeda's very recent passing, it's all heavily tainted this moment for Minfilia, like ashes in her mouth, she says. But as Scions, we must show up and present a united front as a symbol of hope for the future of Eorzea. This is our job. We have to repress this stuff for now and do this banquet garbage. Correct.
But first, she would like to do some internal navel gazing. She wants to remind us how far we've come and how far we have to go, and of history being in the making now. So this is kind of like the final recapping all the stuff in the expansion.
Yep.
So she has now invited the rest of the Scions to join the banquet, and we will head out to meet them there shortly. We leave the Solar, but on the way out, we meet Real, who is leaning against the wall in the Scions break room.
I'm so glad to see him, frankly. God damn.
First off, he gets all sassy about us going to our big shindig.
Yeah, he's like, have a drink for me.
But he notes...
maybe not.
He notes our consternation.
Yeah, looking a little...
We explain that Wilred is dead.
He's like, God damn it.
Convinces him to finally stop being cute with his little suspicions and tell us what he found.
Yeah, no, he's been doing some investigating. Like he said he would. He was going to keep an eye on it. Since our last conversation, he has dug deeper into the source of the Crystal Braves funds. And sure enough, a significant amount of money has been funneled in through an entity called Dodo Consortium. And he's like, that's a stupid name. I'm just going to maybe look in some other pages, see what comes up. And he finds a bunch of other stupidly named entities that have donated lots and lots of gil. Each of them are all owned by the Mirage Trust, which is a Teleji enterprise. And the only way he could have made these shenanigans more obvious is by naming one of these companies, Bribery Consortium. Like, it's so brazen and so obvious. And he's like, who knows how many of the first and the third are on the take right now? And obviously, or rather, he feels no doubt Will Red's death is directly related to this, because the poor kid, he's naive, he's earnest, he's passionate. He was going around asking all sorts of questions he shouldn't have been asking, and they had to silence him. You know, the brazenness of this endeavor confuses Riol for obvious reasons. And he's like, Teleji is smarter than this. And because Teleji is smarter than this, we need to be smarter too. And he promises he's going to purge every traitorous bastard from our ranks. And as a final warning, take care in Ul'dah. And I quote, we're heading into a storm.
Thoughts, Jen?
Yeah, it's just anxiety. This whole series of events right here, anxiety. Minfilia is going into this fucking banquet just on edge. I'm on edge. Everybody's on edge. So yeah, it feels very like explosive right now.
I think it'll be fine.
Okay.
It's going to be a good banquet, some good food, some empty political talk. That's that.
Sure. All right.
That will unfold over the course of several cutscenes.
It'll be fine. Yeah. So leave ample time to watch cutscenes of us enjoying some good food and some good company.
Exactly.
Yeah. Great. Perfect.
Okay. Any other comments for today, Jen?
Not today.
Well then, before we head off, we're going to talk a bit about the old version of the Steps of Faith to acknowledge how far it's come. Back in the day, this used to be an 8-player trial. Arguably the worst trial in the game.
Wow.
The bane of the trial roulette.
Ooh. I've only done it in the MSQ. I never got it in a roulette or anything like that. So I have...
Look who's lucky.
I have it, yeah. I have virtually no memory. I just remember the cannons. That's all.
Oh, yes. The old trial had Vishop just constantly plodding forward towards the gates, while the players and a few NPCs just chipped away at his feet. Ads would spawn on occasion, and you burn them down, but the whole thing was literally you just stabbing his feet for the entire trial, trying to get down his giant health bar. And that's it. Just whack the feet, and you win, eventually.
Suck.
There were also the Dragon Killer Ballista things. I'm surprised that these did not make a reappearance in the new Steps of Faith.
They referenced them in the flavor text.
Yeah,
flavor
but
dialogue,
I was shocked they were not like getting a nod here. I was sure there's going to be like a go in the tower.
Man the ballistas.
Exactly.
But I mean, there was that. Somebody tells somebody to man the cannons or whatever, and I'm like, yep, there they are.
Yep, but not us.
Nope. They're handling that shit in the background. We don't have to worry about it.
Good thing. Because these things were very fiddly.
Yeah.
What you would do was every so often on the side of the bridge, there was a big tower thing. You could run up it. It's a very tall tower. This is a detour. You're going to sacrifice quite a bit of DPS on this little side mission here. You get to the top. There's this big ballista cannon thing, which is the Dragon Killer. This thing will shoot a ballista directly in front of it on the bridge. Can't aim it.
So you have to time it.
And there's a lag between when you fire it and when it lands. So you have to make sure that Vishop is either going to pass through the path or he's going to stop in the path before you fire it. Otherwise, this whole detour got wasted and...
That sucks.
Yeah, you burned your time and DPS.
That's dumb.
If it lands, it does a good chunk of damage, yes. Is it more than your normal rotation? Probably. I have no idea.
Yeah.
That's the trial.
Well.
Rip in piss.
Yeah. Yeah, this is great. This actually felt like, there are stakes. And Vishop is your he's doing mechanics. You are engaged with the dragon as opposed to him just being this like I don't know, ticking clock.
Yes. All right. Well, that is it for today. Next time, we should be finishing off the A Realm Reborn main scenario quest.
Oh my god, you guys.
Jin is very excited.
Oh my god. I'm so excited for Heaven's Word.
But don't get too excited yet, Jen, because we still have a couple more bonuses before we're done for good.
Correct.
Jen just got very sad.
It's fine.
We have to send things off properly, Jen.
Indeed.
We couldn't not do the relic weapon.
We're still working on that.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, thank you, Jen.
Thank you, Levi.
I'll see you next time.
Yep. See you next time. And that will do it for today's episode. Thank you all so much for listening. And thank you for coming up with some sick-ass nicknames for Hoary Boulder. We'll check those out in the Discord. If you want to get in touch with us, you can at podreturnffxiv@gmail.com. Check the show notes for that old Discord. You can join us for some group runs, organize some group runs of your own, share pictures of your pets, your glams. It's a bunch of fantastic people. We would love to have you. And we also have our Blue Sky at podreturnffxiv. We got some random musings up there. It's a weird space, but we're there, so check us out. And finally, our Patreon, patreon.com/podreturnffxiv, where for $1 a month you get access to our bonus content, such as the seasonal events in Final Fantasy XIV and our entire Final Fantasy XI series, Vanadiel Vansplainer. So give it a listen. With that, we hope you enjoyed the episode. Have a good day or night, and we will see you next time.